Let's get the latest now on what is happening here and how close these talks are to collapse. Let's go to Vienna and join Bloomberg's Manus Cranny, who's covering what is happening there for us. Manus, what can you tell us?
Guy, we're using the headline that we're on the verge of collapse. There was a slight briefing on the pavement here about an hour ago. Preparedness for the Russians to walk away. Now, the risk for the market is this, is that as OPEC Plus alliance potentially disintegrates, and we've called it. We have said that the talks are at the point of breakdown. Take your mind back to 2014. That is when the last time that OPEC did not manage to agree a deal to bring the market into check. We're down nearly 8%, Guy. That is more than just fear and loathing in terms of 30-year yield, 10-year yield, and equity implosion. That is down on the possibility. So the decision tree analysis, if there's no deal, 2014, the market collapsed by another 10% back then. So the decision tree analysis is as follows. Russia walks out through this door now, and Alexander Novak, the first question is, how much are you going to pump? How much more oil are you going to pump? Are the discussions over? Will you have another discussion with your buddies here at OPEC? That is question one. Is it toast? Is the OPEC Plus love-in legendary marriage of eternity over? Or the second question is to Prince Abdulaziz Salman. Okay, how much of a crash are you prepared to take on? What are you prepared to do as OPEC, i.e., Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, along with the United Arab Emirates and their other colleagues in Nigeria and Iraq? What are you prepared to do if Russia walks away from this? Are you prepared to lump up and look large and take the size and scale of cuts that it takes to bring this market to heel? Or are you prepared to really run the risk of an abyss, as Standard Chartered said, down to $30? Those are your choices. Those are the decision tree analysis. That is not rocket science, but that's simple analytics. The Russians pump more, the Saudis try to bring it to heel. Doesn't work. Bottom line, market loses faith. Guy, Vonnie.
Manus, hang on for a moment. I want to bring in Francis McDonald into the conversation. Francis joining us in a moment. Francis, obviously oil is completely plummeting. All of the industry groups in the S&P 500 are lower today, again for a sixth Friday in 7 Friday sessions. We have oil services stocks down almost 30%, banks down 25%. When does this end?
Well, the ground keeps moving underneath us. I'm going to see a lot of forecasts changed on this just for underlying growth for the S&P. Watch those market-based inflation expectations. Those are falling even faster. That's going to provide even more support to bonds in this environment. I see this headline, and all I can think is this makes it even harder for the Federal Reserve to try to steepen this or flatten this bond curve. This makes it even harder for the Federal Reserve to respond to these types of development. With oil falling like this, we're at the level now we're going to see adverse economic impacts for the United States on top of Corona, just adding to our pile of concerns.
Francis, thank you. That's much appreciated. Sky, sorry.
Yeah, let's go back to Manus Cranny and carry on the conversation about what's happening with OPEC. Manus, is the speculation, can we now start to move in the direction of the idea that OPEC Plus is over? Is, as you say, the arrangement between the Russians and the cartel now run its course?
Guy, this is an incredibly tense situation. How do you manage the message if Novak walks out and goes, no, I'm not prepared to buy into this extension of these cuts? What does Prince Abdulaziz Salman walk out here and say to us? I think there is a certain amount of, you need to understand the region. You need to understand Saudi Arabia and their position in the region and their position in the cartel. They want to own the message. They are defiant. They will try and go it alone. The question is, how much production can Saudi Arabia really take themselves down to? Down to 9 million barrels? Can you endure that? What length of time can you endure that for? So the permutations here are incredible. I spoke to Rapid in this morning, Bob McNally. He said the risk is this, a spectacular policy misstep and implosion by the OPEC Plus grouping. And that guy, he said, could take $5, $6 off the price. Well, you've had that. So the next question is, you take Corona, you take implosion of policy, and you take a lack of cohesion. And really what you do is, in the long term, you undercut any confidence in this OPEC Plus alliance. That's the risk. It's so ameliorated, you run the risk of losing confidence all the way around.
Why is Russia willing to take that risk, Manus?
Ronnie, economic fundamentals and break-evens, boring as it might sound, but at around $42, $43 for the Russians, they can still endure this level of pain. Now, it becomes a lot more tenuous. Let's say they might come back and talk again at sub $40. The Saudis, on the other hand, have a fiscal break-even up in the 80s. Ed Morse coined this very, very well before we came to Vienna. The two sides are coming at this from two very different directions and two very different sets of needs. So this is about Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia and Putin in Moscow. And the bottom line is this is about a global geopolitical relationship which gives Russia the preeminence that they so much want. And that's what makes me just wonder whether it really is all over.